Here's a number to think about, 60. That's the currently total number of orcas being held in captivity. 27 wild captured and 33 captive born in at least 14 marine parks and 8 different countries. The orca is also known as killer whales, which is the member of the dolphin family. Killer whales exist in all oceans of the world in tight family groups known as pods. Each pod has a form of communication, such as sound and behavior. These pods typically travel over 100 miles each day following food supply and migration. Many marine biologists and animal ethicists believe that orcas should not be kept captive because they are designed to travel hundreds of miles each day. Now, these animals are way too important to our ecosystem and we must preserve their future. There are currently no laws prohibiting the housing of orca whales in captivity, and this must change. I'm here to argue that orca captivity under any capacity must end and they must be returned back to their natural habitat. Currently, there are laws that specifically allow for the capture of wild orcas for entertainment and scientific research. This falls under the Marine Mammal Protection Act. The MMPA requires a permit for taking an orca from the wild, and even though they have guidelines and requirements to obtain these permits, this practice is not okay. Permits may be issued for reasons such as scientific research, public display, or recovery of specific stocks. These provisions sound good, but the reality is that these animals do not belong in small environments that are nothing like their natural habitats. The standards set by the MMPA are difficult to enforce because there are only a small number of inspectors that are willing to inspect facilities around the nation. Even then, there have been questionable practices that, for one example, led to the death of a SeaWorld trainer in 2010. California is the first state that has finally done something about this. Just recently, Governor Jerry Brown signed the bill into law, which goes into effect in 2017. This law passed after years of controversy surrounding keeping killer whales to entertain humans. Under the new law, killer whales that are already in captivity may remain in that state but can only be used for educational purposes. This is important because it might be the start of a change for these species in their future. California joins a growing list of U.S. states and at least 14 countries that have outlawed captive display of orcas, dolphins, and other wildlife animals. The history of orcas is a ridiculous controversy that should have been addressed many years ago. In understanding the lack of laws against captivity and also the hunting aspect, we start to get a clearer picture of how we got to this point. Now, it's important to understand why states are stepping up to address this problem. Each of our perspectives and votes matter to the future of orcas. I hope that the information that I've shared with you today affects the way you look at orcas in the bigger picture of our environment. The choices that we make locally, nationally, and internationally will have an impact on the future of our wildlife. When you vote, care about as many issues as possible, and I hope that the livelihood of orcas is something to factor in.